Morning, everyone. It's Em Weber here from Lever Transfer of Learning. I'm down at the beach. Sunrise has just popped over the horizon, and you can see people are out and about enjoying their early morning activities. So for me today, an early morning activity is sharing with you all what I've been working on. And this work kind of feels bigger than what we've been working on before with learning transfer over a number of years. And I realized I had been procrastinating somewhat around actually getting this work out to the world. So I thought to myself, let's choose a select few people that we would love to share with, that we would love to support, that we would love to champion, and invite them to be part of this development and opportunity that we're creating here. So I'm going to kind of share with you a little bit of an overview for those that don't know me and where we haven't had a chance to work together before. And if you've even found your way to this video, you'll know Lever Transfer of Learning, home of Coach M. And probably what we've been most famous for, certainly in recent years, was the Coach M invention of the AI chatbot supporting people in learning transfer. You know, I speak and I write on learning transfer, and really the whole premise of turning learning into action has been my life for the last 21 years. But today I'd like to bring to you something different. And if we consider what we've been doing in the space of learning transfer, and you know, we very much go from the high touch one-on-one coaching to the piece of tech, what you may not know was that the whole turning learning into action premise 21 years ago was really a Trojan horse. Now, I don't mean the cybercrime Trojan horse, definitely not that, but the whole kind of way of getting information into organizations where they most needed it. And what we've seen in the last few years is a real rise of digital coaching offerings, i.e. not actual digital coaches as we've got with Coach M, but the scalability of coaching, shorter sessions. Of course, we've always really prided ourselves on our quality, and we've really focused on transfer as a way to Trojan horse onto other programs. What that meant was we were able to get coaching across organizations way more than 20 years ago. One of our clients at the moment, we've worked with 4,000 of their people. They're looking at taking the program out to another level within the organization. Why did we choose transfer? A lot of people were tackling transfer in a way that was around control, compliance, and content, sending out nudges, sending out reminders, giving people activities. We know instinctively, and we know from all the research around metacognition, self-determination theory, so much more now than we can prove 21 years ago, that we need to have ownership. We need to get people curious. We need to get them creative, and we need to have them thinking in their own context. So we knew that it was all about reflection, ownership, and change, not reminding, because of what we know about humans. And so our approach to transfer very much leveraged curiosity, creativity, and context. Now, we've actually heard people talking a lot more about curiosity, creativity, and context in the world now as we're approaching these significant changes in technology in our workplaces, but more on that soon. So our approach to curiosity, creativity, and context is to have a coaching-based approach. And part of the challenges in the world of coaching is that coaching can mean different things to different people. It's very much used in different circumstances. It's very much often down to the individual, which is, of course, why we had our really robust methodology. But essentially, coaching was the Trojan horse. And the Trojan horse enabled us to focus on the outcomes of learnings that were so important within organizations, because frankly, transfer wasn't occurring. We know that it was staying with programs. Now, there's still a lot I see needing to happen in the transfer space. I still see a lot of confusion around people just giving activities, getting confused with the difference between skill build and transfer. Activity with the runners behind us here. However, that's not what I'm going to be focusing on today. I want us to think a little bit deeper. Why is the approach to coaching so successful in the space of learning transfer? Well, it's because it's very individual and it's very personal. We know that our behaviors we put into place, the actions we take, the choices we make, the decisions that we make are all driven by our thoughts, feelings, values, needs, fears, beliefs, and identity. And many of you will have heard me say that many times. We need to get people having these individual conversations with themselves to help them shift their behaviors. It's much more efficient than on a behavioral level. With that premise in mind, though, I'd like us to think about why is it really important at this moment in time that we really take lead of our behaviors, actions, choices, and decisions, and why I think we need to go to another level again beyond that just of learning transfer. So many of you know I spent 3 months last year traveling. I was at many conferences, and a lot of being was discussed was about the changes that are up and coming in the world. And even in the media right now, and even since I've been back for almost over 6 months now, we can see there's some things going on in the world that really require our attention. And some people will call these the meta crises. And often when we're talking about organizations, in fact, the speaker from Stellenbosch University at Learning Technologies in London was talking about VUCA. But we've been talking about VUCA since 1987. And I kind of put it to you that we are now in VUCA on steroids. And have we really landed what it means to be working in that volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous way? This is why I think we need something different. And in many ways, I've heard people describe where we are right now in the world, in our organizations, as a bit of a roller coaster. Now, here's the thing. People go on roller coasters for fun. People really enjoy the stretch. They really enjoy the unpredictability. And they really enjoy that there's kind of guardrails and a framework. And in that space, we can really leverage what it means to be on a roller coaster. And interestingly, there's some research from many years ago, and I will try and dig out these facts, that if you have a first date at a theme park, i.e. on a roller coaster, you're much more likely to fall in love with your first date. Now, why is that? Well, some of the research will be around heightened emotions, but I'm challenging my thinking here and thinking, well, is this just because this is where, when we have these moments of uncertainty that then become clear, moments of uncertainty that then become clear, that this is what it means to be human and really riding, whether we use the metaphor of the beautiful waves, riding the waves down here behind me today, or being on a roller coaster, that this is what life is about. And I certainly think this is, if we can give people the skills of what it's like to ride a roller coaster and not be in that permanent fear space, we're really going to be setting people up for success. Now, what I do see happening at the moment in our organizations is that a lot of people feel out of control, or certainly have felt out of control in the past. Some people that I have spoken to feel that we're really struggling with leadership and training at the moment, because people are in such vulnerable positions with overwhelm and burnt out and what's being required of them, that they don't even have the bandwidth to learn and to move forward with their learning transfer in that way. And of course, this is an extreme case scenario, and it might just be in parts of someone's role that they feel out of control. But I think organizations would be able to relate to this, that there's aspects of being out of control. So how are we trying to solve this and going from this position of being a victim? And victim is probably too strong a word. I'm still massaging some of the vocabulary around this, but it's where we're kind of at the mercy of external circumstances. And so what's our solution? Is, well, we give people then a sense of control that they can have control over. And I very much see this through some of our coaching work at the moment, that we kind of get people up on that treadmill. We get people to the point where they're running, they're more confident, they know what's within their control, they know what factors and that they can pull and what factors they can influence, and they kind of are getting into their stride. Now, in a way, that is all well and good. But what I also see happening in today's organizations is if that is our only lever for taking control to shift us out of the victim, as we continue down this path of taking more and more control, the treadmill will often turn into the hamster wheel. And our mechanism for having control is our only way of coping as an individual. Now, as we see these rapid changes in technology in the world, it is going to be harder and harder to control the pace of change that we're thinking. And in fact, if we think of some of the cultures in organizations that have got very forward-thinking cultures, they're thinking about a sense of freedom and not control. And I'm thinking specifically here of Netflix, and I'll put a fascinating link in the, whether we'll have show notes for our video, but certainly down below. I'm also thinking of the way that some organizations are actually devolving control and going to more agile working methodologies. But of course, what I'm seeing is the challenge is, even if we are giving people the opportunity to have more control, which certainly is going to be a shift in the way forward, are we really teaching them how to get out of the victim mentality in a broader way and really become the hero and heroine of the journey through a sense of freedom, even as we're rolling that roller coaster? And we need to be comfortable and aware and have tools and strategies to kind of shift us in that environment, because I really believe what we're doing at the moment and just giving people a sense of control isn't enough. So thinking about how we view control is the first thing I want to challenge your thinking on today. The second thing I'd like to challenge our thinking on is how we deal with learning in our organizations. And what I see is a lot of the learning that we're doing in our organizations is teaching people how to compete with the machines. And I'll use active listening as an example here, that it's taught often in a very mechanistic way. And in some ways, because we're giving people such a robust process to follow, it can become really fake listening. And if we've got kind of fake listening, the machines can do that better. And certainly what we're seeing with Coach M, it's fake listening, but it will often do it better, perhaps, than a manager who has been given limited or process-based training in the past. Now, we do need to have obviously some level of process, or people will be completely at sea. But it's about going beyond that process. And I think this is one of the biggest challenges where we've been trying to teach people to coach in our organizations, that we've taught people to coach in a very mechanistic way. And the machines will do that better. So I really feel we've got an opportunity to lean into, as opposed from something like active listening. We've been teaching being listening for many years within Lever, within the Lever team, when we train coaching within organizations. Being listening is taught in a whole person way. It's a way of being, not doing. And the humans will do something like being listening better. So it's about giving people the skills and enabling them to embed then those behaviors that take them beyond acting like a machine. And if we even think back to, you know, the beginning of the industrial age, when people used to check in and out of factories. You know, in many ways, that's a thing of the past, not in all industries. We have kind of taught as a society that, you know, people are perhaps commodities, or people are being in a mechanistic environment. Now, if we are really going to move forward, we need to go beyond that, beyond the whole idea of the mechanistic, and more of an approach of an ecosystem, and really leveraging what it means to be human, so that we're growing our skills. And even if we think about these lists of what are the skills required in the future, you know, things like critical thinking, things like resilience, they're all really, really embedded with being a human and not a machine. So we need to find a way to engage with people in that moving forward. Okay, and my third thing that I want you to think about today, and there are only three. I could go on, but there are only three. I think in our organizations, we are teaching people to manage their emotions rather than leverage our emotions. Our emotions are unique to us as humans, and machines won't have these and don't have these. Any emotion, and again, we've programmed emotion into Coach M, it's fake. So what we need to be able to do then is, rather than have fake emotions that we're managing, we need to have emotions where we are really leverage them in an organization, really trying to understand what they mean. How do we create them? What does it mean within the body? And what are we going to do with them to help us move forward in our behaviors, in our decision making, in the way that we show up in relationships? So we can leverage these emotions by really understanding us as humans, the body, the brain, and the biofield. So I've shared why, for me, this is really compelling work, and why I'm being drawn to share this with you and create in this space. And to be able to contribute to the solution, rather than the problem, it may need another Trojan horse approach. And I'm kind of very much going to leave that open to for us as a group to kind of decide, when we've experienced how we can really start to leverage this being human, how we can start to build a basis that will take us beyond just some of the skills, but really into this human part of ourselves. So I'm launching what we're calling N of One. Working title, working logo. That may change in the next couple of weeks. N of One. Now, I don't know if many people are across scientific experiments, but for example, if you had 300 people in a clinical trial, it would be an N of 300 experiment. An N of One means that you are experimenting with yourself. It's very much meaning, don't take any of what I say as gospel. During this process, I would love to be your mentor, your coach, your supporter, but you will be experimenting for yourself and choosing how you're going to move forward with these new tools, what works for you, what doesn't work for you, what's useful, what isn't. So N of One is our working title. It's going to be a program that runs over a quarter, so a 12-week period. There'll be a 6-week skill build phase where we'll be investigating paradoxes. We'll be learning and operationalizing the new action model. Many of you will know our action model of coaching, accountability, calibration, target, information, options, and next steps. I'm not going to reveal the new action model now, but I am very excited about it. I'm very committed to it. I've been working on it kind of in the background, but maybe not in those titles for the last 10 years, it feels, of my life. But I'm now looking to more formalize this and bring it into the fore. So we'll have the 6 weeks skill build around some models where you're starting to experiment. There will be a 90-minute a week commitment and a 10-minute a day. Now, that means the learning in some ways is going to be quite intense, because we're going to be having a 10-minute a day activity. We're not going to lose any sleep if someone misses a day. This is not, it's not a boot camp. But I'm really going to invite you to build these skills, because if you can give it 12 weeks of really building these skills of what it means to be human, things will shift for you. And you know that, I mean, I can't possibly have spent 21 years talking about turning learning into action and not want things to shift for people in a new and empowered way. And everyone is doing a fantastic job with what they have available and the circumstances that they find themselves in. And I want us to be able to really be on that roller coaster in an empowering and positive way, not flipping ourselves back into victim when it all gets too much. So those 6 weeks of skill build will be followed with 6 weeks deep experimentation. We're going to be shifting mindsets, attitude. We're going to be observing the outcomes to give you information on your N of 1 experiment. And I really see that we're going to be, again, language permitting, going from surviving to thriving, maybe a little bit cliched, in this emerging environment. So I really invite you to be part of this. I really invite you to consider, am I available to experiment? Am I available to give myself this? I kind of think of giving ourselves a little bit of a treat, of really focusing on ourselves, really focusing on what's the uniqueness that I bring? How can I leverage that even further? If you do choose to get involved, I'd say really consider that I'm looking for in-game players here. I'm not a gamer myself, but I'm sure this term means a lot to people. It's not about being a non-playing character. So really, really consider, can I jump in? Can I take these 10 minutes a day and 90 minutes a week to really support myself and experiment and create your own blueprint for showing up in our future world that is here now, that we're all building together? And I really invite you to be part of this. So there's a one-pager that will go alongside this video. It will have dates, it will have times, it will explain more about it. But thank you for being part of my community. Thank you for being part of my network. If you have any questions, if you actually just want to discuss, is this right for me now? Emma, can you tell me more? I'm nervous, I'm excited, I'm in, but I still want to know more. Please reach out to me. It feels like important work. I know everyone probably feels the work that they're doing is important work, but I'm really thrilled to be sharing this with you. I don't think we quite have this beautiful sunrise. That is the beach behind me there. I probably need a lighting technician to help me with that further. That can be part of my N of 1 for next. But I'm excited about this as a way forward. And yeah, I look forward to you joining me on this part of the journey, and hope to hear from you and have an opportunity to work with you soon. If we don't, I really wish you well in whatever your current priorities are, and know that you will always have my support and good vibes coming your way. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for letting me spend some time introducing you to N of 1. Em Weber from Lever Transfer of Learning, potentially now just Lever. That'll be a slow embedded change coming through. Very best all. Take care. Bye.